Hey guys, this is Anastasia Autumnfire, and tonight's video is actually a Yuletide craft that I'm making, or made, I should say. For those of you that I am sending Yuletide crafts out, you're probably going to get one of these in the mail. I apologize, this is kind of a spoiler alert, but I promise there will be other goodies in your packages as well that I'm not sharing on video. But this is something I really liked. And as I was creating it, I thought, I do want to share this. And if nothing else, for my pen pals that I'm sending these out to, I want to make sure that you have all the meaning behind it and kind of the intent that I put into it. So I thought this would be a great kind of reference. And then for those of you that watch my channel, or if you stumble across this, it's a great idea if you wanted to make one for not only this Sabbath, but just anything. It can be put into, it can be given as a gift for any occasion, really. It's something I've wanted to do for quite some time, and then this just seemed right. I was at Michael's and I saw they had all these wooden spoons, and they were at first just solid. They were just blank. And I took my little handy dandy burning tool, which has some plastic on it. I'm going to need to clean that off. It fell like right as I completed this. I dropped it and there's a plastic bag. Beautiful. So that'll be fun. Anyway, so what I did was, with my burning tool, I burnt symbols, blessings, a little wish or a spell of sorts, onto the spoon, which basically makes this kind of an energy saver, in my opinion. The intent behind this is, if you are someone who's like me and really focuses on kitchen witching from time to time, really whenever I cook, there's always some form of intent behind it. I like finding the magic in cooking. I like putting a little oomph into things that I make. Usually whenever I make something for dinner for my family, I make sure that it is focused on good health, focused on warmth, connection between the family members. Sometimes it'll be about prosperity. Sometimes it'll be about patience, especially with a 3-year-old. So when I do that, I really put that intent into the cooking, and I will look up to find the correspondences of the ingredients that I'm using, or if I have a specific intent in mind, try to find ingredients that will help that specific intent. This spoon would be a great addition to that, or a spoon like this would be a great addition or a great tool to have when practicing that. So in this case, what I made was a spoon for abundance and wisdom, basically. I began with holding the spoon upright, and this side points north, the back side points east, this side points south, and the point facing the camera points west. So what I did was, with the witch's alphabet, because we all know how much I love that, I burned on here blessed by earth, and then the alchemy symbol for earth, then blessed by air, and the alchemy symbol for air, blessed by what? Oh, I did it. Blessed by fire. Fire in the witch's alphabet has a little W looking character, so it always kind of throws me. That's actually an F, and it looks like a W of sorts. So I apologize. It is blessed by fire and the fire alchemy symbol, and then we have blessed by water with the water alchemy symbol. I also, on top, it's kind of fuzzy, but it is a pentagram, and I did burn it in the invoking way. So I went down, over, down, and up. There it is, and then around. So it's supposed to bring in the abundance, bring in the wisdom, kind of use this as a conductor or a conduit to channel all that energy through and put it into the food through the spoon. I then burnt in a goddess symbol because I had a bit of space here around the whole spoon, and I didn't want to leave an empty space, so I used the goddess symbol here. On the direct opposite, I used the horned god symbol, and then on the two sides, I used a fairy star and another fairy star. So, as many of you know, I like using the Lord, the Lady, spirits of the elements, and good folk in most of my crafting, so I did find a way to include it on here. I then went to the witch's runes. I love the witch's runes symbolically, as far as divination as well. I know quite a few people that have started with the witch's runes for their divination work, and I personally love them. So I like using them in a lot of crafts as well, or at least the depictions that they use. Here I took the sun from the witch's runes, which represents new beginnings, good decisions, vitality, good health, things like that. So those are definitely blessings I want to bestow upon my friends and family during the Yule season. Oftentimes whenever I do a sun symbol, I will include a spiral in the middle, just another way of joining the god and goddess. Spiral for me is very connected to the goddess. The sun is very much connected to the god. So the joining of those two symbols is very important to me. Here we have another witch's rune, although it's not that great in creation. I apologize, I'm not an expert with the wood burning quite yet. But it's the witch's rune for the harvest. And I know we already finished the harvest. We had Lunasa, we had Mabon, or the autumn equinox, and we have seen Samhain come and go. So it's a little odd to use the harvest on something for Yule, I understand, but for me, what the harvest means in the witch's runes is about abundance and prosperity, and kind of gaining that success or those good things coming your way. And I think that means both materialistically but also spiritually. So I definitely want that to be given. And that's kind of the basis of the spoon, is prosperity and wisdom. So I thought that would be a great symbol to put at the base of the spoon, really. The main core of the intent is in the base of the spoon, which will really be doing a lot of the connection to the actual food. Then I use some tick marks. As many of you know, I love the number 9. I try to incorporate it in a lot of my crafts as well, as it stands for the triple goddess tripled. So I used 3 tick marks here, 3 tick marks there, and then 3 up by the sun as well. So we have the number 9 represented on here also. Then on the back, what we have is the ogam for oak, which represents strength, stability, and nobility. I use that ogam because those are definitely things I want to wish upon my friends and family during the Yule season, but also it is the time when the Holly King is overthrown by the Oak King. So it is the longest night of the year, but after this, the lighter side of the year kind of starts to come back. We start to get longer days. The Oak King takes control of the reign again. And so since we're welcoming him back, I did want to include that ogam on this gift as well. And then I apologize preemptively. I did not write the name of the Nordic rune down, and I should know this, and I am just blanking. It's the Nordic rune for gift. And what that represents is really kind of focusing on the connection that we make when we do give gifts to each other. You know, for me, Yuletide is very much about that thought. It's about finding that gift for a certain someone, whether it be purchased or made or what have you. finding that gift that just makes them light up inside and just kind of brings that smile to their face. And it's not, for me, it's not ever about receiving things. It's always about, I want to show someone how much they mean, not necessarily by how much money I spent on them, because I don't think that's indicative by any means about emotion, but it's more the time that was spent thinking about it and the thought that you put into it and finding that perfect thing. So yeah, so I wanted to include that rune. I did want to put an Ogham and a Nordic rune because that represents the Celtic and the northern traditions that I follow in my practice. Here I have the main blessing, if you will, or the main spell, if you will. May this Yule bring you the abundance of the reborn sun and the wisdom of the immortal moon. That ultimately is what this spoon is about. It's about abundance, prosperity, wisdom, intuition. It's to connect us back to the Lord and the Lady. In many traditions, the Lord and the Lady have kind of been out of sync. They've been separated. They've been in the underworld in some traditions. They have been leading the wild hunt in others. It's something where we've kind of been on our own, so to speak. And so this is kind of bringing their power back to us. I personally always feel connected. I don't necessarily believe in that. I struggle with the concept of the dark of the year just because maybe I just haven't learned enough yet. I'm not sure. But I still like the idea of the rebirth of the sun kind of bringing us that jolt of revitalization. And that's kind of what this is going for ultimately. And then, of course, I put the triple moon sign down here for the goddess, the maiden mother crone. So yeah, so that is the spoon. This does connect me to my water element for my Yule countdown, for those of you that have watched my wreath countdown video. Water, because spoon is what you use when you're stirring a cauldron or a pot. It connects us to the great goddesses of inspiration, of creativity. For me, it always kind of brings me back to Caradwyn. I personally do not work with her, but I like to say I have a kinship with her because my witchy sister in arms does work with Caradwyn quite a bit. So when she and I get together for circles or to celebrate the Sabbats, I have my matron goddess Hel, but I do also have to incorporate Caradwyn into our rituals, into any ritual or craft or what have you that I make. And it is something where I actually have had pendulum sessions and meditations and such where I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, so Caradwyn, Hel, you two are okay, right? We're going to work together, right? We're cool. And it's definitely a kinship. So I do love the symbol of a spoon because it brings me back to home. It brings me back to the hearth. The kitchen is such a huge place for me. My grandma Marie, who kind of started me on my witchy path, is very much a kitchen witch. And that's really where I began my studies. And especially during Yuletide, you make cookies, you make the huge feast. That it's where, in my house at least, everyone gathered. It's where we all kind of sat and chatted and, snuck little bits of whipped cream and, snagged pieces of meat off of the roast beef. And it was where all the fun was. It's where the happiness was, the warmth, the laughter. Those are usually my best memories during the holidays. So creating a spoon really connects me to that, and it connects me to the goddess and that water element of emotion. So as I stated before, it's a craft that can be used practically. As you stir your soup or your stew or your sauce or what have you, the idea is that the magic will be channeled through the handle and dispersed through the base of the spoon into the food. For those that get these as gifts from me and they choose not to use them in cooking, they can just as well sit on a wall as kind of an energy saver. And then when you go, okay, I'm making a meal for wisdom, I'm really struggling with something, you can kind of pull it off and hold it in your hand and meditate with it a bit, chant with it, maybe hold it over a pot of food, or if you're making burgers, over a grill or a skillet. Just, I think of it as an energy saver. And if the energy is never claimed by the person who I intended for, at least it can be released into the universe. And we could all use a little positivity from there. So yeah, I hope this made sense. Again, it's just a little craft. I feel a real connection to Yule with it, but it certainly can be made at any time of the year, for any occasion, for anyone. If you want to make a spoon, like I said, for me, I use a lot of warmth and connection in a lot of my cooking intent. But if you're making a gift for, or you're making a dinner for anniversary and you want to add some spice and some love, you can easily make a spoon for those, to kind of heighten that love or spice up that connection in the romance department. If you're struggling with a decision and you need to make one, maybe for guidance or insight, it really, the possibilities are limitless, as it is with all magic, because it goes as far as you can bring it, if that makes sense. So yeah, before I ramble on too much longer, since we're almost at 20 minutes, I'm so sorry, you guys. I always do this to you. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. Again, for those of you that are going to get this for me, I'm sorry it's kind of a spoiler, but hopefully this at least serves as kind of a key or a reference guide as far as what all these symbols mean and where I was going with this. So I thank you so much for watching. As always, many blessings, and have a great night, guys. Thanks. Bye.